honey, get off the table. What do you think you're doing eating mom's flowers? Great, I've got the world's only vegetarian cat. Tonight's episode of the Maxis Model Show is brought to you by the Kraut, who gave me this wonderful model Boeing 247 kit by Williams Brothers. 247, the airplane that would have been something if the DC-3 hadn't come along. And to Mr. Campbell, who sent me a 2024 Canadian Military Aircraft calendar. That one's going up in the TARDIS. And now on with the show. Oh, by the way, this really cool stiffener came with the calendar, and I'm keeping that because I know something that cool's got to be useful for something. Well, tonight's show was originally going to be about how I was going to send some parts off from the damaged kits to some of the glue troopers who needed some pieces parts, and also how I was actually rehabilitating some of the models, so the destroyed pile is getting smaller and the repair pile is getting larger. Also, I was going to talk about how as more vehicles are getting fixed, I'm coming up with what I call the survivor's shelf to display those kits that managed to survive the crash of 23, and also some of the kits that I'm lining up to the top of the queue to get work on soon. But then everything came to a screech and halt while I was doing some research for another video and found this article, which has some of the greatest words in the English language. So of course I had to read it, and as I did, I learned a whole bunch of stuff to go on to what I already knew, and I was thinking perhaps a new Aurora file. It asks such questions that I think I can answer, like why the fuchsia color, or why the Canadians, when they got their Godzilla kits, made them in sort of a metal flake green, which, by the way, if I'm not mistaken, they never sent kits to Canada. They sent the molds up, and they were made in Canada. That got them around the taxes and everything. And of course about the great sculptors who made these kits come to life, like Ray Myers and Larry Ehling, amongst others, along with the incredible box art of James Bama. And the article goes into how Abe Shikes and Joe Giammarino and the management at Aurora used to laugh at Bill Silverstein, the man who's really the reason we ever got the monster kits to begin with. But it's too much to go into here. The more I read, the more I researched, and I kept going down rabbit hole after rabbit hole after rabbit hole with the artists, with the sculptors, with the people who were making the decisions, the people who were buying the stuff. And we've covered this a lot, and as much as I have gone into it, I keep finding more and more stuff. One of the little tasty tidbits of information I learned was Aurora never got the rights from TOHO because TOHO didn't have the rights. TOHO had sold their American rights to Weston Merchandising Corporation, which was started by Stanley Weston. And if that name doesn't sound familiar, and it didn't to me, it turns out he was the inventor of the G.I. Joe, and he wound up representing a lot of properties in the 60s and 70s. He agreed to take Godzilla in a deal that would make sure that he could also represent King Kong, because TOHO had gotten a King Kong license. So when he got TOHO, he got Kong. And when they went to Weston, he was able to grant them the rights for both. And that's just covering the surface of the thing. Oh my gosh, there is so much more to it. You can go read the article or wait until I finally get around to making a more detailed video on this. And I confirmed this with my Aurora Model Kits book and the Aurora Monster Scenes book and went into it to make sure. It looks like this article's pretty well researched. And then, as if not the cherry on top of all of this, I stumbled on to this, and I've got a link for it below. It turns out that about 10 years ago, the original Aurora King Kong pattern went up for sale and got about a little over $3,200. Probably worth half again that today. So, the great Styrene River. It just keeps on giving and giving and giving. And before you ask, as far as I'm concerned, no, this stuff is never going to get old. Well, guys, that's what I've got for tonight. I have got to stop and take a break. Between this, all the model projects, work, and all the wonderful stuff, information that keeps coming my way, especially from our good friend down in New Zealand, Paul Adams, I have enough research material to keep me busy pretty much. Well, let's just say I could probably work on a doctoral thesis and get it done first. I am so backed up on project, but that just means I got no shortage of material. Well, guys, I hope you're having a wonderful evening. I hope you found this mildly entertaining and perhaps sated your appetite for more information on the mysterious Aurora kits. Well, that's it for tonight, guys. Take care of yourselves, and as always, model on.